إيطاليا تعد أحد الدول المصنعة للكثير من المنتجات المهمة للبشر. الأكل والمواد الغذائية ملعبها، والفن بدعة من البدع عند أهلها. وبالسيايير تعد دولة مليئة بالأساطير. قصتنا اليوم قصة تدور حول 2 مخضرمين ترعرعوا مع أهلهم في الزراعة. قصتين منفصلتين، ولكن شاء القدر وتجمعوا مع بعض بنفس المصنع. الأول معروف باسم فيروتشيو لامبورغيني، رجل قبل لا يدخل عالم تصنيع السيارات السبورتية العنتيشية كان عنده مصنع لتصنيع التراكتورات الزراعية. رجل في وقت فراغه كان يحب يطلع ويتمشى بمعشوقته الفراري بين الوديان الإيطالية. كان عنده حلول للقيور الفرارية، حط صينية كلتش مالت تراكتر من تراكتراته على الفراري. ويوم قابل المخضرم الكبير إنزو فراري قال له لقيت لك حل بمشاكل قيورتك. وبردة فعل جدا شرسة طالع فراري وقال له إيش فهمك بالسيارات أنت يا المزارع؟ وبسبب غضب لامبورغيني الشديد قال له أنا أعلمك المزارع شنو يسوي فيك. وبعدها بكم سنة انولدت اللامبورغيني. اليوم أنا والشباب رايحين بالونة في إيطاليا نزور أحد أصدقائي العزيزين على قلبي، رجل لقب بمستر لامبورغيني، رجل يعد من أهم العناصر بالمصنعية اللامبورغينية، فالنتينو بالبوني، ريال صاحب الرأي الأخير بتحديد إذا السيارة ذاهبة حق راعيها بالسوق.
Signor Valentino, thank you for having us over here, sir. We greatly appreciate it. Me and the crew driving from Milan all the way to here, we were like little kids, trying to get here as fast as we can.
Thank you very much for being here with us and taking care of us. I appreciate very much. Yeah.
The pleasure is all ours, sir. Valentino, I wanna go back in time first in this conversation. I want to talk the history of Valentino, like way before even Lamborghini.
My family was a poor family, farmer, and I grew up on a farm. And after the school, I was looking for a job.
Yeah.
And this is why I ended up in Sant'Agata Bolognese, where Lamborghini is based. And the priest of my village, being born in Sant'Agata Bolognese, one day he took me to the company, and when I was there, I saw those beautiful cars, those beautiful bodies.
Yeah.
And I applied for an employment form. Because after the school, my dad wanted me to work.
Yeah, of course.
So I applied for the employment form, and within a week I was employee at Lamborghini Automobili as an apprentice mechanic. I cannot forget the first time, my first day at the company, I was sitting in the office talking to the, to the responsible of the company. And he was asking me what I could do or what I wanted to do after the school, you don't know much.
Yes.
And I remember talking to this guy, suddenly the doors open, and the man comes in very, very nervous, smoking a cigarette, and he started yelling, saying, "We don't need people to talk, we need people to work." And then he slams the door, he goes away, and the manager, the director, told me, "You just met Ferruccio Lamborghini." So this was my first time I met Ferruccio Lamborghini, which is the founder of the company. And you know, still after 50 years, I can't forget that episode because it was you know, an impact that you will never forget.
First day at work and you know, Lamborghini himself.
Lamborghini himself. I was very lucky to meet him after 2 hours. I was at the company.
مليء بالغضب لامبورغيني، والشيء الوحيد اللي براسه شلون أضرب السوق على إنزو فراري. وقام بعدها وتحالف مع أقوى المهندسين والمصنعين بالديرة، ناس مثل جياتو بيزاريني، جيان باولو دلارا، والمخضرم الكبير زاغاتو. أول لامبورغيني بالتاريخ كانت البروتوتايب 350 جي تي في، ونزلت بتورينو أوتو شو بسنة 63. بس فروتشيو لامبورغيني ما كان راضي عليها، ومن بعد الجي تي في نزل الجي تي 350، وبعدها الجي تي زي 3500 على ايد زاغاتو، مع 350 جي تي اس، وعلى ايد بيزاريني الكثير من السيايير طلعت. بيزاريني بي 538 اللي طلعت منها الميورا، ال400 جي تي فلاينج ستار، ال400 جي تي مونزا، والميورا بي 400. وانطلق صيت لامبورغيني والأسطورة إلى اليوم لا غبار عليها.
I was an apprentice, and the apprentice on those days was the helper, the server of the mechanic. And I remember my job was to push out the cars in the morning and push the car back in the evening because we needed place to work on the other car. But you know, after the first time I was pushing the car in and out, I started starting the engine, and instead of pushing the car just outside, I was driving all the way around the company for 3-4 times with every car. So, you know, this is how I started driving Lamborghini, but I wasn't supposed to do it.
Of course.
So many times my directors called me and they said, if you keep doing that, we will fire you because you are not supposed to drive the cars around the building. You know? Everybody was complaining because of the dust, because of the noise, you know, and this is how the story started. And after, you know, in September 5, 1973, my general director, Engineer Stanzani, called my boss and myself again at the office. And this is when I thought, okay, this is my last time, they will fire me. But this was the day where they told me, okay, now we need to train a young test driver, and since you keep driving the cars all around the company, we want to see if you have the attitude to become a test driver.
Interesting.
And then I stayed more than a year with the senior test driver, my instructor, the poor Bob Wallace, who passed away recently. And he was my teacher, and this is how I started.
Interesting.
شغلة مهمة أحبها باللامبورغيني هي أن سياراتهم تصنع كلياً بالإيد من أول ما بلشوا لغاية اليوم. المصنع مقسم إلى أقسام والكل عارف شغله.
Driver was probably the best ever car in the world. Was a Miura. Was one of the last Miura P400 SV that we manufactured in 1973. And I can't forget first time I was sitting on a car being a test driver, and the man of the security first time push the button and the bar opens and I can go through outside on the road by myself on a beautiful black Miura, which was my first road test, and you know, this is another experience on life that you will never forget.
Of course, of course.
Good.
Very good.
Okay.
Very tiny car for a big man.
So that we put the bed, which looks always good.
This is the most beloved car you have?
Yes, it's one of those, yeah. The door is closed properly.
Yes, yes.
So we go a little bit around here.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the displacement on this engine?
This is a 12-cylinder transverse engine,
Yeah.
very special. Because the engine, transmission and differential is only one block.
Okay.
Only one block.
One chunk.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's very, very good from the technical point of view. Fantastic. Yeah.
So, as a test driver, do you also give your point of view to the
engineers of the engines and everything, the mechanical engineers.
The test driver is always a connection between the car and the engineer, you know.
Interesting.
He has to take care and talk to the engineers about performance of the car, and together we find the right balance, the right way.
It was an amazing drive with you. You are a true driver, Valentino. I've never ridden an old classic car that went so fast. Handling was perfect in the car. To me, it's much more better than the new generation of sport cars in general, because it's more mechanics than electronics, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would say you feel exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
On a right time. You have no power brakes.
Yeah.
You have no power steering.
Yeah.
And you operate a mechanical gas accelerator.
Yeah.
So you feel everything.
Interesting.
And it's a very nice sensation.
Yes, yes, yes.
A test driver has to check everything on the car. Once the car has been completed out of the production line, the test driver is the one who check if everything is the way it's supposed to be. Let's say engine performance, gearbox, transmission, road holding, everything which is a car, in other words. So, the test driver has to make sure that everything works the way the engineer decided to be.
Yeah.
It sounds like an orchestra.
Yes.
Very nice, clean engine, extremely pleasant to drive, downshifting. It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful piece of engineering, which is a 12-cylinder transverse engine, you know. Practically, we have the carburetor and the admission system just behind our ear when we are inside the car driving.
Exactly.
And this small block has differential transmission in a small block.
Yeah.
On the first version, we have the oil, lubrication oil, all together, engine, differential and transmission. On the later version, we split engine, differential and transmission.
How come? Why did you split it?
Because, you know, it was a kind of, let's say, innovation,
Okay.
a technology, more, let's say, it's more, we wanted to separate to give a little bit more reliability.
Okay. Stamina.
Yes,
was
yes.
it better in the stamina?
Was better because, you know, after you go through production and experience, you always make things better, you
Yeah.
improve and you change, and the final decision, the final best solution was to have the engine lubrication separated from the differential and the
Of course.
transmission.
Different temperatures, no?
Yes, yes, sure.
As you were driving, I realized the amount of torque this car has. How much horsepower is this V12?
This V12 has 370 horsepower
370, huh?
and a huge torque. You can drive with the fifth gear 1,500 revs, push down, and then it picks up slowly and smoothly,
Yeah.
which is a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have power, but still we have a very, let's say, easy to use engine, friendly use engine because of the torque.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
الميورا هذه صنعوا من جيلها حول 338 حبة. ماكينتها 12 سلندر، ارتكازها 60 درجة. كامين على راس الماكينة مع زنجير صدر صنقل، وفالفين على كل سلندر. 3939 سي سي، يعني 240 كيوبيك إنش. البور مالها 82 ملي والستروك مالها 62، يعني العب يا لاعب على التورك. والكمبريشن ريشيو مالها 10:4، يعني بمعنى أصح ضغط الماكينة ناري وشراري.
The engine is so much torque, so you can drive low revs
Yeah.
with a lot of power anyway.
This car is like the most beloved car to the Italians, no?
The Miura is an icon.
Yeah.
Miura is a car that everybody, a car enthusiast would like to own.
Yeah, a legend.
A legend. He's an icon for Lamborghini.
Yeah, yeah.
Miura made Lamborghini very, very popular and strong, and everybody wanted to have a Miura.
Yeah.
The most influent people and actors still today, they own a Miura.
Interesting.
I restored many cars for many important people,
Yeah.
actors, collectors, and it is very nice to see this car back to the original specification.
Of course, of course.
With the engine, the right power, smooth.
Yeah, very smooth. This is what year?
This is a 1971 Miura P400 SV.
نفس ما انتم شايفين الماكينة والجير ويا الدرايف ترين كاملا ورانا احنا بالكابينة، لذلك صوت الماكينة طاغي على صوتنا. 370 حصان على 7500 راوند بير مينت، 389 توركها على 5500 راوند بير مينت. راديتر السيارة نظام الكروس مع مروحتين كهرباء 5 غيار غير عادي، ومن الصفر لل100 ب4 ثواني و15 من الثانية. يعني بلغتي أنا السيارة نباطة. سيارة نفس ما احنا شايفينها مليئة بالكيرفاتي، وايد ناعمة انسيابية، ونفس ما انتم شايفين بالبوني وهو يرنها بالشارع جدا جدا سريعة.
This engine is an engine which has been entirely developed by Lamborghini Automobili.
Okay.
This is a pure, genuine Lamborghini.
Lamborghini, huh? You know how most of the car industry now started to bring old models and old names back to the market?
Yes.
Is there a Miura coming soon?
I think Miura is a legend and you can duplicate legends.
Very true.
I don't think this car will be ever, rebuilt in on a modern way, on a modern key.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Awesome.
And they will not support to have a Miura modern edition.
Yes.
Miura is this.
A Miura, it should be pure mechanical.
Good or bad, must be this way. This car is like a good doctor. He takes all the illness away from you.
Yes. I like that. This car takes all the illness away from you. Do you remember how many cars you have ridden?
I have no idea of how many cars, but people say that probably I drove 70-80% of the Lamborghini.
Wow. So if the company produced one model, let's say 100 cars of a model, you have to drive all 100 cars.
Yes, oh yes. This is still today on a model Lamborghini, and it was the same thing when we started, as a small company growing up every day. Every car is anyway road tested before being delivered to the customer.
The Countach.
Countach.
Yeah.
Countach is another icon.
It's another icon.
Another icon.
Yeah.
And Lamborghini became very popular and strong with the Countach.
Yeah.
This was kind of challenge, you know. Imagine on the 70s coming out on a production with these doors, you know, scissor, called scissor doors,
Yeah.
which was an amazing car to look, you know,
Of
astonishing.
course. Out of space age,
Yeah,
you know.
Still today, going around with this car, people believe that it's a modern car. You know?
Yeah. What about this signature right here?
Well, this is Ferruccio Lamborghini personal signature.
Himself, huh?
Yes, that he did for this customer because of all Countach, this was a special car for a special Lamborghini owner.
Okay.
So a friend of Ferruccio Lamborghini, so he wanted to sign personally his car. And you can see the difference of the age and the characteristic. The Miura is still smooth
Yes.
and
Curvy
sweet.
curves.
And
Yes,
sweet.
Yes.
This is
Very sharp.
edges,
Yes.
but you know, very, I mean, astonishing.
Of course.
From the
of
point
course,
of view,
course.
yeah.
What about the engine of this car?
Well, this is a 12-cylinder engine, 4-liter online.
Inline, straight.
This is Miura as transverse engine,
Uh-huh.
and this is online, you know, which is also a very good solution because the engine is the rear engine. The transmission is inside the car, in between the two seats, and from the transmission with the shaft going through the oil pan, we operate the differential. And I mean, as a technical solution, still today is amazing, astonishing to think about on 70s how engineer developed this car.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the engine, transmission inside the car, which is definitely, I mean, when you downshift and you use the transmission, you use directly the transmission, you have no linkage, it's direct. Straight.
Wow.
And you know, the shaft going on through the whole pan of the engine, bringing the transmission here on the back, on the rear wheels, you know.
What's the horsepower amount on this engine?
This engine has 385 horsepower.
85 horsepower. Huh?
Also a lot of torque because we always wanted to find a good compromise between maximum power and torque.
Yeah.
Because you know, the car must be usable, must be friendly use. Not always you want to race. Aventador, Huracan, even Gallardo, Murcielago, extremely powerful car, you know, huge amount of power, torque, safety, electronic. They are amazing cars from the technological point of view. They are definitely excellent cars, fantastic cars. Well, Lamborghini, Lamborghini is Lamborghini because the temperament of his founder, because he always wanted to be different than everybody else. He always wanted to be more challenging than everybody else, more exclusive, more different, I would say. He always wanted to be a reference for everybody else. Working on those cars remembers my times when I worked personally on that car, and you know, it happened many times that I see the same cars that I built 50 years ago, going back to my hands and being, let's say, brought to life. I will keep on as long as I can, because as I said, you know, motivation is always there, passion, devotion for Lamborghini, my working life, and I can't stay without doing that.
Well, Mr. Valentino, thank you very much for this.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to show you how old Lamborghini performs still today.
Interesting.